What the heck happened to pistol squats? Pistols used to be everywhere. I'd see them in competitions. I mean, I think they were at the games probably 5 times. I can think of the Cinco 2, Mary, Chaos. I know there's a bunch more that I'm missing, but they were at the games a bunch. They were at semifinals a bunch. I would regularly see videos of games athletes and stuff, whether it was on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, doing pistols in their training. And I've even seen the frequency of them at the affiliates I've gone to start to decrease over the last few years. In fact, I feel like I almost never see pistols in competitions or in any other training anywhere these days. But what happened? I feel like pistols were kind of a little bit of a very beloved movement for a while. And I don't know how we got to this point to where now they're almost blacklisted. And anytime they do come out, I hear a lot of people complain about them for one reason or another. Whether that's at the gym, at the affiliate, or in competitions, even at like the highest levels. I just hear people complain about pistols all the time. So what happened? Well, the biggest complaints and the problems I could identify, number one is the standards. Like in competition, it's hard when people that are so good at doing pistols, when they're doing it as fast as they can, there tends to be a lack of hip extension at the top and sometimes even a lack of depth at the bottom. They'll start to put their other foot down as they're still standing up on the other one, which is technically a no rep, but it's happening so fast that judges will miss it. And it's like they can do it, but it would just slow them down. And it's kind of just like a hard standard to stick to. So that's one of the issues with pistols. The other one I've heard a lot of is that they're so uncomfortable for people, whether it's like it bugs their knees, it bugs their ankles, it bugs their hips, something like that, where it's an uncomfortable movement to do. To do a pistol squat, you have to have far end range in your ankles, your knees, your hips, everything. You have to be able to sit really far down and load those joints in a very, for lack of a better word, vulnerable position. It's not, you know what I mean? So that's one of the other complaints. I mean, for example, I hear Rich Froning, he's like, I'll never do a pistol squat again. He refuses to do pistol squats. If a competition that he's doing has pistol squats, he just won't do them. He won't do them in training. And I've heard that sentiment echoed by other people as well. I mean, it's just an uncomfortable movement, right? Like if you don't have perfect mobility, it's going to feel like you're really having to stretch to get into position. They take so much mobility. They take so much balance. And so I could see if you're programming for an affiliate, how you would just slowly program less and less. And I think this is one of the biggest problems with pistols is a lot of people don't see the value. And so they think, oh, it's just an uncomfortable movement. It's just a really hard movement. And so they want to just naturally get away from it because they don't see the value in it, which is the main problem. So let's talk about the value. One of the biggest values, maybe the biggest value of a pistol squat is their ability to expose issues, their ability to expose you. Tight hips, tight whatever, weak this, weak that. Their ability to expose your problems is actually their main benefit. So if your knees are caving in when you do a pistol squat, that's telling you something. If your ankle is hurting when you do a pistol squat, that's telling you something. All of this is a great way to expose these little things that are happening. And I know some of you guys are going to say, oh, well, if it only shows up when it's in a pistol, then it's fine. But here's the issue with that. With CrossFit, we're seeking to always increase our abilities with our body. And if you ignore these little things, whether you get older, another injury happens, life happens, things just slowly get worse. As you slowly just allow yourself to do less and less because you don't see the value in it, that's an issue. Maybe today it's pistols because they bother your knee. And then the next week it's something else because it bothers your ankle. And then the next week it's something else because it bothers this and that and that and that. And instead of actually figuring out what the problem is, because these are movements that people can do comfortably and you maybe could do comfortably at one point. And so if you could do them comfortably at one point and other people can do them comfortably, then your goal should be able to do them comfortably, because all that's going to do is increase your quality of life, increase your health, increase your work capacity across broad time and modal domains, decrease your chance of injury. If you just allow yourself to slowly walk back, like today it's pistols and then in 5 years you're like, oh, well, when I squat, it hurts my knees. Well, maybe if you were to diagnose the issue that you were having of why pistols were uncomfortable for you, then maybe squats wouldn't be uncomfortable 5 years later. And so the main value in pistols is their ability to expose problems, their ability to expose mobility issues, their ability to expose weaknesses, muscle imbalances. So should you avoid them? No. Should you do them if they're uncomfortable? Also probably not, but try and figure out why they're uncomfortable and work your way towards being an able-bodied person who can do things. That's the goal of CrossFit. That's what we're here for, not to slowly walk back. And obviously that same thing applies to competition. Like we're testing people at the highest level of this thing. So how do we fix it? If it feels like pistol squats have slowly just kind of fizzled out over the last few years, but they obviously have value, how do we fix it from here? Well, first let's talk about competition, because I think this is the simplest thing to just get out of the way. In competition, the things I've heard the most are the lack of hip extension at the top and the lack of hitting depth at the bottom. Here's how you fix those things. One, with the lack of hip extension at the top, some of the times it's because they're racing so much that It just blends into one movement where there's a few ways to fix that. Number one, just program them in bigger chunks where they're going to be going slower. So instead of having people racing those pistols as fast as they possibly can, program it. Maybe you do 50 pistols in the middle of a workout where it's like, if it's at the end of the workout, they'd be sprinting it. If it was at the beginning of the workout, they'd be sprinting it because it's fresh. But if it's in the middle of a workout, you've got 50 in a chunk, then they're not going to be like sprinting each one. They'll just have to settle into a pace. So that's one way to potentially fix the lack of hip extension at the top. Another idea to fix the lack of hip extension at the top is to just have them do a set on one leg and then a set on the other, because it's a lot easier to A, as a judge, catch, and B, as an athlete, feel and do that full hip extension at the top if you're just doing a bunch on one leg. At the CrossFit Games in 2022, they had some where they did like 5 on one leg, and honestly, it just looked a lot cleaner to get that hip extension at the top. Be easier to judge, it'd be easier to do. So for the lack of hip extension at the top in competition, you could A, program them in chunks where they're going to be going slower, and B, have them do a bunch on one leg to where they can comfortably stand up. As far as the depth, one of the things I think happens is people feel bad, like they'll see somebody just that can't hit depth, and the human side will be like, oh, that was close, I'm gonna give it to you, but the problem with that is we are rewarding inefficiencies. We're rewarding a lack of ability. So these people are getting rewarded for something that they can't do. If you can't lift a heavy barbell, you don't get like a close enough call. If you, because you don't have the mobility or strength or whatever for it, can't get your hip crease below your knee on a pistol squat, then for some reason people will just still kind of give it to you. So I think the thing needs to be just a hard standard. A pistol squat is your hip crease below your knee. If you can't do that, then you should have trained better. As far as the depth at the bottom, it just has to be a pure hold the standard type of thing. And people have to understand we're holding the standard for a specific thing. We're not testing pistol squats because they're going to like test your metabolic conditioning or something like that. While they can, but we're also testing your ability to get your hip crease below your knee. So if that's what we're testing, then that's what we need to test. This movement is important. Just because some people can't do it doesn't mean we should remove it completely. It doesn't make sense to me. So what about the average affiliate goer, the average CrossFitter who doesn't do them because it makes their knees bug a little bit, they don't have the balance for it? What about that? Well, this kind of goes back to that thing that I said, the great things about pistols is they expose. So if you've got an athlete and every time they squat, their knee is just caving in like crazy, that's going to tell you something, whether it's like super tight adductors, weak glutes, some stiffness in the ankle, something like that. People need to figure out how to diagnose and fix those issues, whether it's more mobility with a lacrosse ball or more strengthening your glutes or more something like this. And then we need to learn how to just scale it back. If pistols make your knee uncomfortable, that doesn't mean you need to just stop doing single leg squats altogether. Just squat to a box and then spend more time doing mobility. The way to fix this is to understand the value in them. It's not that your knee just randomly hurts when you do pistol squats. It's not that your ankle just randomly bugs you when you do pistol squats. It's not that you can't randomly balance on that foot anymore. It's an ability that you can have to do comfortably, and you should be in pursuit of the ability to do it comfortably. That's what we do as CrossFitters. So I'm going to do some pistols in my training this week. I also fell into the whole not doing pistols anymore because maybe it's a little bit stiff. My knees are a little bit stiffer than they used to be. Same with my hips. But I'm going to spend some time doing mobility and get comfortable doing some pistol squats. I'm going to do some this week. I think you should too. If they're uncomfortable or you don't like them for some reason, figure out what you need to do to make it better, because that's what we do as CrossFitters. Thanks for watching. Peace.